About making a border around a square or rectangle that we have made with rows. Now this is considered working in the round because we're going around something, but because we previously worked in rows, the edges are not going to be the same. So when we are on this edge here, we know that we crochet into the stitches like this. When we are on this edge or the side of the stitches, it's not a consistent thing. It looks different. Okay, now there are a number of reasons why you might want to make a border, and even if I do a fancy stitch for my border, I almost always start that with a single crochet border because I think it just makes the groundwork so much easier. That being said, let's kind of look. I know I did 16 stitches across here, and I know I did 15 rows up. So I want to be close to 15 stitches on this side. Now, because of, I'm gonna try to look at this without undoing things. Okay. So because I want to look to see where I want to do the stitches before I actually make them, just so you have a plan. So I can tell that and when I look at this, I see these like bumps and ridges here. And I know that I need more stitches than there are those bumps and ridges. So I'm going to see where I'm going to put it. Well, the first place that I think I want to put a stitch is actually right here next to that little bump. And then the next place I want to do is right after that. And you will notice that those places look different. Like this looks different than this looks, okay? And that's okay. But the thing is, it should alternate. So my next place I want to do is actually right next to that spot. So on either side of those little gaps. So I'm going to count. Now, once you get used to doing this, you'll just kind of know. What you don't want is a whole bunch of extra stitches here, because then it'll make your edge look wavy and it won't match this side. So it'll just start to look kind of like it's ruffled. I'm outside, that's why you get the nature sounds and the nice breeze. But so I'm going to count here. So I want to start here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I might be able to get 15 here, but I'm gonna see what that looks like when I get to the bottom. So what I'm gonna do, so I just finished a row. I was going this direction here, so now I need to turn and go this direction. All right, so corners, so when I start this, I want to be clear. I am going to go this direction, I am going to go here, I'm going to go here, and then I am going to finish here. So the way that I finish and end might be a little bit different. I am going to go ahead and start here, but we're going to talk about corners when we get over here. So I am literally just going to insert my hook right here, pull up a loop, and make a stitch. Now I meant to get a stitch marker. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna mark that stitch there. Hold on 1 second. All right, sorry. I forgot to grab a stitch marker. So I'm gonna mark this very first one that we just did, because sometimes working in the round, especially with single crochet, can be confusing. Because it's harder to see where you start and where you ended. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead, and because I'm on this side of that bump and I know I want to go on the other side, I'm going to go right here. Remember, those two spots looked different to me, but I want to make sure that I stay with that pattern. So this one looks like the first place that I inserted my hook. So, and this place looks like the second place I inserted my hook. So that is what pattern I am going to stick with. Okay, this isn't going to look or feel like going into a regular stitch, but that's okay. We're trying to make a very nice smooth edge, and maybe you can see the difference there from this edge to this edge. So borders are really nice for like blankets or dishcloths, or I mean really anything that you want to give like a finishing look to. So keep that in mind when you're doing projects. And once I get down, you know, I kind of established my pattern, but I want to count to see how many I have here. So I have 14, and I could see I could have, this is kind of the next, the first chain, because I started a chain on here. But in the corner, there's several ways to do it. You can either do an extra crochet into here. Let's see, I'm gonna do 2 crochets into that one, and then I am to give us a little bit more, and then I'm gonna do my first one here. So, and sometimes we do 3 crochets into the corner, but I think we can get away with 2 here. If we do too many stitches, sometimes it can look a little bulky. So now I'm actually crocheting into the chain, and I'm also going to carry this tail, my original tail, so I don't have to like weave it in later. I'm just kind of crocheting over it right now. And then we're gonna talk about this next corner in just a second. I'm gonna kind of drop this yarn that I just made. Okay. All right, so I'm at my last stitch here, and I'm gonna do another stitch in this corner here before I turn. So you keep in mind that the stitch count is going to change from 16 this way because we are making corners, all right? We are having to increase at the corners to get around the corner. So here I am, and I know that this, where I'm at, is the bottom of that foundation row that I made. And I want to turn the corner to the sides. Now again, we kind of want to make sure we have a lay of the land and know where we're stitching. So I am going to be real similar. I'm going to start here and here. And even though it kind of looks slightly different, remember there's kind of a pattern to it. So these are the places that I want to stitch. We are going to shoot for the same number of stitches this way. So if I weren't going to count these over here, I want to get like 14, around 14. Okay. So let's see here. 1, 2, 13 and 14. Okay, so I am back on this edge. You will notice my corners aren't they're rounded, which if you do 2 crochets, if you just do an increase with just 2 and 1, it'll be not quite as distinct and rounded. So I need one more this side, and this side should be easy because we're just going into the stitch. But I am going to do an extra one in this same stitch to help us turn that corner. So I'm going to do, so that will be 15 for that row here, or that round. So we're kind of turning the corner, and I can see that this starts here. Now this is a normal, we're not crocheting into the side, we're not crocheting into the chain. We're crocheting into the top of the stitch, our last row of stitches. So this part should be easier than the other 3 sides. Okay, so this is the reason why I wanted to slip stitch, is because it's hard to tell where I could keep going around and around in a spiral, which is you can do that, but I'm gonna do something else with this. So if I were to finish this, I might do one more to turn that corner, and then I am going to do a slip stitch here. Sorry, get my dog being sassy. Okay, so if I were to finish that, like use it as a washcloth or like some kind of cup holder or something, you can just tie that off here, do a chain and tie that off. But I'm gonna make this into something else, so I will trim this edge though. I'm gonna pull this tail a little tight so it kind of wrinkles up here. I'm gonna trim it, and then I'm gonna stretch that back out so the tail kind of recedes back into that. And look, you don't have to go back and sew that in. All right, so we'll see you in the next video.